Hello, I'm Kelli Anglley, and I was on the Standards Writing Committee. I am currently teaching 6th grade ELA in Elgin. I want to talk to you today about Standard 4 vocabulary. Standard 4 basically talks about how students are going to expand their working vocabularies to communicate more clearly. And when we think about vocabulary instruction, teachers often struggle with, what words do I teach? There are so many words. How do I know specifically which ones that I should be teaching? And when you read research, a lot of times researchers will put words into 3 different tiers. Tier 1 are the words that students come to us already knowing. Those are going to be words like baby and milk. They've heard these words several times. They effectively use them when they're communicating, and you don't need to explicitly teach them. The thing that we do need to be aware of with some of those Tier 1 words, though, are urban students versus our rural students. If you come across a word like feed, your farm kid may immediately think to, well, I'm going to go give the cows some feed tonight, whereas an urban student's going to have a different kind of definition of that word feed. So there are some cases where you may need to explicitly teach a different definition of that Tier 1 word, but for the most part, students already understand and know what those words are. Tier 2 words are going to be words that are often used in literature. These are not necessarily words that you are going to use every day in your normal discussions that you have with people, but those are going to be words like remorseful or forlorn or fortunate. You know, those words don't often just pop out of our mouths, but those are words that students will definitely be reading, and they have to know the definitions of those words. And then Tier 3 words are your more domain-specific words, photosynthesis in science or parallelogram in math. Definitely, we need to do some instruction in those when we are in those disciplines, but those words are not going to appear in front of students as often as the word remorseful, as often as those Tier 2 words. So when we're really thinking about vocabulary instruction, we really need to live in that Tier 2 and pick out words that students may not use in their own vocabulary every day, but that they definitely are going to see. And then once they have that ownership of those words, hopefully then that is transferring into their writing, and it's going to make their writing come much more alive and be much more descriptive and say exactly what they mean if they can use those Tier 2 words. When we're thinking about other objectives within the vocabulary standard, yes, we still need to be teaching synonyms and antonyms and homophones and all of those different definitions that words have. We also do need to teach some dictionary skills. We don't need to give students a list of 10 words and they have to go look them up in our dictionaries, but they do need to know how to use a dictionary, whether that be the book dictionary or they're doing that online. We definitely need to explicitly teach how to do those things, so if they don't know what a word means, they can ask, and have them understand that multiple meaning words, when they come across those, which specific meaning did you need for the context of what you're reading? Maybe it's definition 4, and they never made it past definition 2 when they were looking up that definition. And so yes, we still do need to teach those skills as well within Standard 4. Another objective within Standard 4 is Greek and Latin roots and affixes, so we definitely want to have some instruction in that area as well when we are talking about vocabulary. If a student sees the word hydro or hydra in a word, they should be able to have that knowledge to figure out that that's going to have something to do with water. And if they can pick out those parts along with the other context around the word that they're dealing with, it will hopefully help them figure out what that definition of the word is going to be. So we absolutely want to have some Latin and Greek instruction within our vocabulary day. But mainly when we're thinking about our vocabulary instruction, it needs to be intentional, it needs to be purposeful. Choose the words carefully. Again, we don't have a prescribed list, because how do you say these are only words that, 3rd graders need to know only these words? Because what if you come across an amazing word in their reading, you don't want to skip over it just because it's not on some list that we have. So look at your literature that you're using to teach your reading instruction that day. Get students to say the word, use the word in their conversations that they're having, and then write using those words as well. and we will hopefully have students with larger working vocabularies than when they came to us.